Here I was looking at this survey that found most people in Republican targeted districts and Republican battlegrounds don't think impeachment is a good idea, basically. And I thought to myself, wow, I've done this story so many times, it's just a rerun of a rerun of a rerun. Do we really need to hear what we already know for the 1 billionth time? One of the most annoying things about everything going on in politics is that all of these pundits, all of these personalities, and even to an extent myself included, are sitting here just taking this like chisel and just chipping away at the bottom of a barrel which has nothing left. Absolutely nothing left. There's a bunch of big stories coming out today. Apparently, Trump said Ukraine and China should investigate Biden. He's corrupt. And the media got all outraged and they're like, oh, Trump is breaking the law in plain sight. He should be impeached. And then they completely ignore the fact that it was a story from Politico back in August. And Trump is referencing something in the media. And I just think every single time some story comes out, it is the same thing over and over again. Ukraine Gate is Russia Gate 2.0. The writers of this horrifying reality need to get over themselves. But I do have a bunch of things I want to point at to just talk about the complete absurdity and insanity that is politics today, and do a video where, I was sitting here thinking, which subject do I want to talk about? Do I want to talk about impeachment being a bad idea? I've talked about that like 800 times because the data shows it over and over and over again. That in this, they say the Democrats are not focusing on the policy issues they want to hear about. This is specifically talking about districts that are targeted by Republicans. And then all of a sudden you get some stupid counterpoint which decontextualizes and misses the issue. And it's funny, I look at this in politics. And one of the things I've been, looking at for my second channel is more cultural issues. And again, it's the exact same thing, right? Check this out. Here's a story from The Intercept. A third of voters who oppose impeachment are worried about backlash for Democrats, new poll suggests. Surprise, surprise, how did we not see this coming? It's not just about the fact that I've talked about it over and over again, but it's like we're living every day on repeat. I think whatever this Trump bump outrage cycle is, has gone completely dry and there's nothing left. And here we go, impeachment, again, scandal, again, because the media is hungry and the media is desperate. I think back to, a decade or two ago, how much media could really be produced during an election cycle. Now it's, I imagine all these politicians are punching and counterpunching so much that they're both just completely exhausted and collapsing in the ring. And so when I'm reading the news, I'm like, dude, you covered this story 3 weeks ago. Or the media conveniently forgets that they reported this. And again, the media, not a monolith, but a story will come out in Politico. It'll be big breaking story. Everyone will question it and say, will this hurt Joe Biden? So then Trump jumps on board and all of a sudden now we got a new scandal. And it's just, check this out. Here's a story from Bloomberg. All of these were stories that I was like, which should be the lead? What should we break down? And I thought about it and said to myself, no. We're going to break down everyone being insane, everything being nuts, and I want to show you some of these stories. Here's a story from Bloomberg that says Trump's impeachment saga stems from a political hit job gone bad. This takes conspiracy to a whole new level in claiming that Trump was trying to do a hit against Biden and it backfired with an impeachment. Well, we've heard the complete opposite from the right, that this was Trump trying to investigate CrowdStrike to go up against the Democrats, and now it's backfiring on Joe Biden. So who, okay, technically they're right? So here's what I really want to highlight this. This is what truly inspired me to say, you know what, screw it, everyone's nuts. It's someone on Reddit, just a random Redditor on the politics subreddit, giving us a breakdown of what's been going on. And as I read this, I couldn't help but think we've been here before. And that's when I realized we're literally living a world in repeat. Just change the proper nouns and the same trash is being cycled all around us. Now it may be that what we're seeing with Ukraine Gate and the absurdity, the rerun that is Russia Gate, is actually due to a reciprocal tactic, essentially, that Trump and the Republicans have said, you played this game, we're going to do the exact same thing. And here we can see truly the shine, we can truly see the example of the media double standard and how all of this functions, and the inability of human beings to understand that they're doing the same thing as each other, right? But I guess I can only really state I've seen the comments from the Trump supporters, right? That Democrats accuse Trump of doing something. Turns out that it was the Democrats who did it, and the cycle repeats. So I want to read this. I want to read this breakdown for you. Before we jump into this, go to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work, because as you know, I'm a glutton for punishment. And I sit here reading all these political stories every day. And I finally got to the point where I said, everyone's crazy. Now, I've known everyone's crazy, but I think what we're really seeing is this desperate bid. You know, everyone is flowing in a certain direction. And they're desperate to maintain their own personal status quo of their own tribe. And that means we're going to see the MSNBCs, MSNBC. They're going to say, oh, this, that, and this. We're going to see the Fox Newses. We're going to see the CNNs. And no matter what happens, no matter what comes out, they must frame it their way. So if you like me doing this for some reason, go to timcast.com/donate and support my work. Or just share this video. But look, I will try and stay on top of the news going into 2020. But there needed to be a point where I just said, listen, the media around Trump is a desperate recycling of the same thing over and over again, because these business models they have rely on endless growth. You look at these companies that are operating off venture capital, these media outlets, and at a certain point when they stop gaining new viewership, they risk their evaluation. They want to get more funds, okay? Because admittedly, it's too expensive to run a lot of these companies, and they're hurting. So they say, what can we do to bring in more clicks? There won't be infinite clicks. There won't be an endless growth period for your media empire, because you only have so many customers. You can try offering up different products, so one customer can become a customer to two different industries. But in the end, all they can really do is say, let's just regurgitate an op-ed from last month today. Or better yet, we know Trump is kind of right about these questions he's asking, but we must frame it. We must invert the framing, because it always must be that Trump is bad. You can never change your opinion. You can never offer up a counterpoint. Case in point, this comment. Okay, so to piece this all together, since there's a lot coming out right now, this person writes, Giuliani has been communicating with Manafort via a lawyer to communicate the communications and plan regarding Ukraine. That's insane. Oh man, I remember hearing something during Russiagate about a British spy and coordination with, Democrats and Ukraine. Remember when Politico reported that the Ukraine was talking with Trump? Yeah, that's insane too. How about this one? Giuliani put together a packet of disinformation that was given to the State Department for the purpose of smearing people like the Bidens. The packet has been described as propaganda and debunked as conspiracy theories. Remember this one from BuzzFeed? Man, we sure are living in an insane, political, nightmarish dystopia. This is what's so frustrating. How is it that all of this is playing out again? These reports allege Trump has deep ties to Russia. A dossier compiled by a person who has claimed to be a former British intelligence official has alleges Russia has compromising information on Trump. The allegations are unverified, and the report contains errors. How about the story about the dossier, which contained a bunch of insane conspiracy nonsense about a P-tape that BuzzFeed published that contains errors and was unverified? Sure. And here we are today, reliving this exact moment. And I guess I can say, I can throw some shade toward these left-wing individuals who don't realize the double standard. They don't realize that when you entertain an insane conspiracy theory for 3 years on MSNBC, people get tired of it. And then all of a sudden we get Giuliani coming out talking about Ukraine, and what do they say? They say it is a conspiracy packet. Yeah, that's what the journalists are saying. Josh Rogan of the Washington Post tweets, Rudy admits to CNN that he passed the packet of Ukraine conspiracy theories and attacks on U.S. Ambassador to Pompeo. They, the State Department, told me they would investigate it. Conspiracy theories. I love that word. How about this conspiracy theory? Remember this one? How about this conspiracy theory? This is one of my favorite conspiracy theories. It is a really, really long article from August about Joe Biden and potential corruption called Biden Inc. Over his decade in office, middle-class Joe's family fortunes have closely tracked his political career. That's so weird. It's so weird that Politico published a story August 2nd, 2019. And now Trump is repeating these claims. And he is. Trump publicly urges China-Ukraine to investigate Biden's amid impeachment inquiry. Trump has repeatedly accused Hunter Biden of using a 2013 trip on Air Force Two with his father to procure $1.5 billion from China for a fund he started. Well, gee, where could Trump get that idea? Politico? And then we hear about these Ukraine conspiracy theories, and that's what the media says. I wonder where they could have gotten these ideas. Ken Vogel of Politico. Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. I feel like there is no real honest play in helping anyone truly understand what's happening in this world. All that we really have are people who know what their line needs to be, and that's the line they will repeat. So I don't know, maybe I'm just as bad as everybody else. I don't care. We're all nuts, aren't we? Every single one of us who can't understand what's actually happening, who refuses who falls into the trap of media framing and plays to that base. Well, let's read. The packet was photoshopped to appear to be from the White House. Giuliani admitted he made it. So Trump's personal lawyer is forging documents that contain 4chan level nonsense to appear to be official White House docs, and it was aimed at smearing the Bidens and others. 4chan level nonsense. Kind of like the video I talked about earlier where a guy did a circle game and got fired from his job because of 4chan nonsense. Or how about the accusations that the P-tape accusation, which made it into the dossier, originated on 4chan. I don't know if that's true. All I know is that's the same thing we heard last time. Man, I really don't want to go through another Russiagate. I entertained it. We sat through this, and it proved bunk. And they're playing it again? What is wrong with these people? Pompeo directed his staff not to answer any questions about this to Congress. Pompeo's lawyer very intelligently did not follow that direction and confirmed details about the packet. I don't care about your packet, dude. I really don't. I'm so over this. I really was sitting here thinking, you know what? After going through all of this news, right? Because we start with this story. This is the first story I'm looking at. I do this every day. I'm like, what's the most important thing? And I said, hey, here's some confirmation bias. The NRCC did a poll of their target districts and found people don't like impeachment because it doesn't focus on core issues. And I said, hey, I've talked about that a million times. I don't think I can't do another video about it. There's also a video about Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff now apparently had information from the whistleblower. I'm not going to get into the grander context, but the point is, Schiff communicated with the whistleblower beforehand. All of a sudden this news breaks, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can talk about how the media puts out information without fact-checking it, and then almost immediately has to retract a bunk story. How many times have I talked about that in the past week? Yeah, we're stuck on a loop. We're stuck on a loop of political partisanship and media absurdity. The media has to play the line that they know will play to their audience. I think about it in the sense that, look, media is a business. I will make this point too, because I made it in a second channel video a couple times. I don't care about the Republicans or the Democrats. I'm not here to see either of them succeed or fail. I care about the media, and I can't stand the lies. Now, when it comes to the Democrats, the far left push and the media lies are intertwined. As we can see here, BuzzFeed can publish this conspiracy dossier and argue the merits of its newsworthiness. And there's a debate in media about whether or not these allegations are true. And they entertain them, and they investigate them. They don't call them outright conspiracy theories. In fact, on MSNBC, Jonathan Chait, I believe of New York Mag or something, he says that Donald Trump may have been a Russian asset since the 80s. Seriously. And I'll give a shout out to Crystal Ball for pointing that. I believe she pointed that out on Bill Maher, saying like, that's crazy. Thank you. That is crazy. I like the Hill. I think they're okay. But how do we solve this problem? Okay, that we literally now have Giuliani with his Ukraine packet, and we had the Russian dossier, and they're both both sides claim that they were conspiracy nonsense. And I gotta say, in the end, it turned out the dossier against Trump was pretty much conspiracy nonsense. And they even said they contained errors and were unverified. But why was it entertained at all? Why is it that something can come out in the press and they'll all say it's true, but as soon as Trump says it, it's fake? Why is it that Politico can report about Ukraine's efforts to sabotage Trump working with Hillary Clinton to boost her and the DNC in 2017, and we didn't get an investigation here? They call it a conspiracy theory, a packet of conspiracy theories. How is the Politico mag can do, how many words is this? 5,000, 10,000 words? documenting how Joe Biden goes on these, has these meetings, and all of a sudden his son gets these lucrative positions. It is not Trump making this up. Giuliani did not make this up. And so now we have the latest story. That Donald Trump, he walks out to all these reporters and they ask him about Biden, and he says Biden is crooked and he should be investigated by Ukraine and perhaps even China too. And all of a sudden now they're claiming Trump is demanding the targeting of his political rival. I get it, media. I get it. You've adopted the Trump bump as a business strategy that puts you in line with progressive activists who use the same narrative as a strategy for political reasons. I don't care if the media is doing it to make money. They're in line with activists. Look, so you got the Young Turks, right? Cenk Uyghur's coming out and saying Trump just committed an impeachable offense, a crime, and it doesn't matter, something to that effect. And I'm like, dude, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do when this never stops? It just never stops, okay? Russiagate, Ukrainegate. So what are we supposed to do following this story? Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. No, I seriously would appreciate an answer. I would like to know what happened. Russiagate proved to be false. Okay, let's move on. Now we have this story lingering that was never fully investigated. Can we investigate it? No, we can't, because they say it's a conspiracy theory. Well, why are you and the Democrats both saying it's a conspiracy theory? I don't care. Look, I entertained your Russia stuff. I said, fine, let's see what the investigation, shows us. And there are some people who have gained hundreds of thousands of followers off of Russiagate and to this day still have them and still made money. Because when it comes to the media, let me make one thing absolutely clear. They can publish fake news and conspiracies, and everyone will click it and they will sell those ads. And a day later, when they retract, say, see, we did the right thing, but they still made the money. Now, here we are. I ask you, are we going to get an investigation into potential Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump as Politico reported? The answer is, of course not. Because when Trump brings it up, they say, how dare you target a political rival? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Joe Biden was immune from prosecution or scrutiny at all, simply because he decided to run for office. If that's the case, where was the complaints that Hillary Clinton's accusations against Trump about working with Russia were political interference? You see why I'm so sick of everything? In the 2016 election, they started making allegations that Trump was working with the Russians and the Russians were trying to interfere. And nobody said it was conspiracy nonsense in the media. They said, oh, we should look into this. We should figure out what's going on. We should launch a probe. And Robert Mueller, all because of a packet. Here we are, living life on repeat. I don't know what to tell you, man. I kind of feel like Trump is doing this because it's kind of comeuppance, it's kind of revenge, kind of feels good. They investigated him, he wants to investigate them, so they call it a conspiracy, and then Joe Biden is immune. But I ask you, please tell me, what should I do? What am I supposed to do here? You wrote this story, Politico. Politico is not some fringe, far-right, nonsense conservative site. Politico is certified green across the board by a third-party fact-checking agency, news rating agency, technically fact-checking. Biden Inc., the Friday cover about Joe Biden and his kids. August 2nd, the story comes out. I see this story. That's really, really interesting. We going to get an investigation? Perhaps Donald Trump should investigate this strange circumstances, which I believe were documented over and over again, and talk about how weird it is that Biden's son benefits. Okay, Trump calls for an investigation. I'm sorry, that's grounds for impeachment. So let me replay where we're at. You actually have just the double standards, the lies, the insanity, and I read it every day. So there's a couple things that I want to just point out with today's video. Look, I was going through all of these stories. I saw this one from Politico Mag, it's being shared around, and I said, maybe we should talk about Joe Biden. But dude, I did this. We talked about Joe Biden. We talked about this story. We talked about Trump, Ukraine, and all this stuff. It just never ends, man. I see all these stories about Republicans, impeachment, failure, what's going to happen and stuff. And then I just read this, and it feels like a rerun. Seriously, like 2016 never stopped. In 2016, they made these claims. So the joke I made on Twitter is that whoever is writing for this simulation, please, get some better source material. Start looking to other areas for inspiration. Because I seriously am on the verge of saying, you know what? If we keep seeing rerun news, I'm not going to cover it anymore. I was really close to doing a video about Joker for the main channel. And I've tried to keep this one, my main channel, really centered on the big news of the day, the really important stories. And I thought this was it. The controversy surrounding Trump, China, Ukraine, and all that. And then I just thought to myself, why am I going to do another story where I say the exact same thing, but a new story came out? You know what I mean? So this story comes out. They say Trump called for an investigation or whatever. So let me give you a better example. The Ukraine scandal. They say Trump pressured Ukraine into investigating his political rival. And I see the story and I'm like, oh, please stop. Okay, I don't want to relive this. The next day we get Trump pressured Australia. The next day we get Trump pressured Boris Johnson. Then we finally get Trump seeks U.S. allies to help. And I'm like, enough already, man, enough. Okay, how many times are you going to say the same thing over and over again? And the same goes to me. And that's why I'm saying this now. I'm sick of it. It's on repeat. You know what? I'm going to wrap this up with repeating that same old beautiful point, because that's what's happening, isn't it? That's where we are. The Democrats are so focused on scandals that they're not talking about core issues. They're so focused on impeaching Trump. They're not focused on core issues. Meanwhile, Trump is behind the scenes enacting policies, putting judges on the bench, record number of judges. He's getting these judges approved and appointed and all that. And the Democrats are playing the scandal game. So you know what? Do I make another video where for the 800th time I say impeachment is unpopular, it's going to hurt the Democrats in the long run, and that they're not focusing on policy issues? I could, but I'm kind of over it. Do I make a third video where it's like, Trump pressured so-and-so, oops, information came out discrediting it? I did a video a couple weeks ago or a week and a half ago where I opened by saying that every time one of these big bombshells come out, a day later it's debunked. And so the Australia story comes out, day later it's debunked. Ukraine story comes out, day later it's debunked. And I'm like, do I do this every time it happens now? It's just a trend. I think to summarize all of this, what we really have is the media has an expectation. They're looking for content. They know the kind of content they want to make. They know what they want to say, and they never stop. They never stop. They never have a self-reflective moment. They never say to themselves, I'm not going to do this again, okay? We need something else. We can't. It's just the same thing over and over again. So what happens is the day comes up, the editors, they have an editorial meeting and they say, what stories do you have today? And they say, Trump talked to Australia about Biden. Ooh, that's a big juicy scoop. I'm like, I mean, we talked about this already. Well, do it anyway. Okay. We have a new poll. The new poll says the same thing every other poll says, that impeachment is unpopular. Are we going to do a story about it? You betcha. And then that's the point. Because there are very few people who are working in media right now who are, I don't know, looking at, say, Hong Kong. They're there. The journalists are there. But the media isn't interested. There's a journalist that I know who tweeted something about how he was going to take all of his all of his pitches and throw them in the garbage because the media only wants pitches about Donald Trump. And that's the big point. That's the through line. So here's what I try and do on my main channel. On this channel, I try and talk about the biggest stories that have the biggest impact. And that tends to be right now the big political race. Why Andrew Yang was just seen skateboarding. And that's getting a lot of attention. But it's not that important. He's skateboarding. And then we have all these stories about impeachment and everything. And I'm like, this is important to the fabric of our country, and especially moving into the election. So that's what we should be talking about. But at a certain point, all these news companies, all these different media outlets, they don't. They say the same things, like on cue. And I wonder if it's because they've decided not to accept pitches in other areas. I don't know. All I know is that the end result is that mainstream media can put out a story, and then as soon as Trump mentions it, because they have to, because the news has to fit their narrative, Trump is wrong, Trump is a crook, Trump is a liar, they now say that their own stories are fake news. I don't get it. What am I supposed to say as a regular person? Are we going to investigate Clinton and the DNC in Kiev? Apparently, we're not going to do that. Are we going to investigate Joe Biden? No, apparently that's a crime and Trump should be impeached for suggesting it. So what about the average person and what am I supposed to ask for? I just don't know anymore. I don't know what you want from me or anybody else. Why Politico is going to put out these stories and vet them and claim they're true, but then as soon as Trump says it, it has to be fake. I just don't know. I just don't know. And so I guess that's it, right? I can't believe I ranted this long about it, but anyway. That's what I felt like doing. I felt like it was time for a good tearing apart of all politics and just being whatever, man. I don't understand how you guys deal with it. I don't even understand how I deal with it, right? Like I mentioned, I'm a glutton for punishment, I suppose. Because I read this stuff all day, every day, and it's like the world is on repeat. The same stories, day after day. And what do you do? I don't know. The drama for the sake of drama, I guess. Eventually, something needs to change. So I'll tell you this. Go to youtube.com/subversevideos if you made it this far, because that's kind of my goal and one of the big projects that we're all working on here. We're getting an office, we're getting set up, a lot of people invested. If you go to Subverse, you'll find we don't follow this trend, okay? And I have nothing to do with the day-to-day editorial stuff. You'll see that the people who are producing content might talk about artificial intelligence and Hong Kong, for instance. We have a reporter on the ground in Hong Kong, because the goal is not to fall into the trap of this. And if that means we're not gonna be as lucrative as many of these companies, well, then so be it. So be it, because this is poison. Everything we're seeing here, this is poison. It's a conspiracy theory. It's political. It's a political game. It's all poison for everything and everyone. And I'll take responsibility for my own role in playing the same game. But I guess to my own credit, I'll defend myself, I guess. I know that I produce content similarly too, and that's why I'm making a video like this. I'm like, am I really gonna do another video about this? There needs to be a point where we reflect on the media and the politics and talk about the insanity. And I do like to believe that one of the big things that I do and why I do it is pushing back on the media games and the lies and the misconstruing of data. And that's what this is. This is finally me saying enough to all of it. The media is sick. Everyone's insane. Okay, stick around. Next segment's coming up at youtube.com/timcastnews at 6 p.m. And I will see you all then.